Hi, today I'm going to finish the eyes on the female face that I had started earlier. And remember that if you need help drawing the female face, I did this book right here, The Lost Art, Volume 2, How to Draw Fantasy Female Faces. It's a very simple, basic book on how to draw the female face. It's great for beginners or if you need help on drawing the face. And we're going to start painting this. I'm going to finish the painting with the eyes, finish up the eyes that I started doing. And the first thing that I do when I start to do the eyes is I darken the white area of the eyes. I like to darken that up when I paint the eyes because I think it brings them out a little bit more. I feel it just brings them out a little bit. And what I do is I just try to use like a darker off-white color. And it depends on the look that you're going for. If you want to make them a lot darker or just a little bit darker. But I just like the look that it gives my paintings. So that's why I do that. So again, we're just darkening the white part of the eyes on both sides. And you can do one eye at a time if you want to, or you can work on both at the same time. It depends on you. It might be easier if you do one, and then when you finish that one, start the other one, and that way you have a reference for the eye, for the other eye. So again, I'm adding just a little bit of actual white in here to lighten up the dark color that I'm using on the white part of the eye. So there you see how it is it's darker. Then I'm going to put outline the eyes, and for that I always do it darker, a little bit darker. I never really put the actual eyelashes in. I usually never do that with my paintings of the female face. I usually like to have that as just to be kind of a suggestion. And you're darkening the bottom part. And just like that. Then we're going to do the other side. And it also depends on the style of, I guess, the style of makeup that the character is wearing. Maybe she does a lot of eye makeup on or not. Or if you want the character to look very innocent and young, then don't do too much work on the outline of the eye. And then for the lid, I just use a little bit of white right there. And then we're going to use more of the brown color so that the lid will be just a little bit a lighter shade. It'll be just a little bit lighter. And the eye area is usually pretty delicate area, so like the brush that I'm using is a much smaller brush. It allows me to do a little bit more careful detail of this area. Then right there. So you can see that definitely is a smaller brush. And for the actual eye, the the iris of the eye, we're going to give her brown eyes. And just at first, when you start, you color the whole eye, the whole iris dark brown. And we do a little bit more eyeline right there. And the characters I do usually have, like, the eyes are really kind of large, just slightly exaggerated, I would say. This is the way that I like to do it. So whatever type of eyes that you're doing, if you want to get them more realistic, if that's the look that you're going for. But in my book, I also have a chapter on how I draw the eyes and the shape of the eyes and stuff that I use. So my book is based on how I draw, so. And that's the way that I like to do them. And then put a little bit of white, blend in a little bit of the white color into the actual brown. And this will make it look a little bit more, I guess it'll make this area of the eye look more transparent. And let me just get a little white, because remember to wipe off the excess paint from your brush, especially when you're doing really detail work like this. And then we're going to use a darker color for the actual pupil. And there we go. Put the pupil in like that. I'm wiping off a little bit. And then maybe just put a little bit more darker, make the eye a bit more dramatic. We're doing some high detail right here on the eye. And then one of the things that I do is I add a little bit of shadow on the upper part of the eye, of the actual white part of the eye. And that shadow has to be very, very lightly done. Very, almost can't notice it. Let's see if I can get, yeah, right there. And right there, it's just a little bit of a shadow from the lid, from the upper eyelid, that is usually falls down on the face. And then I'm ready to put in the eyebrow. Just painting it in like this. And also in my book, I show different types of eyebrows and stuff that you can do. And then I'm going to put a little bit more brown in here. A little bit darker part of the brown. And on this side, we'll do the same thing over here. And when I do my paintings, I usually do, oops, and you do have little upsets like that, but don't worry about that. If that happens to you, it doesn't ruin your painting. You can always paint over that. Any little mistake that happens, you can always paint over it. So just keep that in mind. And here we go. And today's a very cloudy day, so the light is just like off and on in here. So I sort of apologize for that. Having this weird light that just, it goes from bright to dim in a flash. So it is a good idea to get a good lighting system when you're painting. I do have a light lamp in my other room, but that lamp does give off a lot of heat. And in Phoenix, it's very hot here, so I don't like to use that, especially during the summertime, because I can feel the heat from that thing just coming down on me. Okay, again, we're going to put a little bit of white on the brown part of the iris to make it look, this just makes it look transparent, gives it a little bit of a transparency. It's just a little trick. And then we're going to put the pupil, which is just a dark. The pupil is always the darkest. You can use black for that, straight black if you want to. And then going to do a little bit of an eyeline. Doing a little bit right here. I'm just going in and doing some real fine detail, which you might want to do this, you might not want to do it. You might want your painting to be a little bit less detailed than this on the eye, especially on the eye area. You can go in and be as detailed as you want. I mean, if you actually want to go in and do all the individual eyelashes, it all depends on you, the artist, on the look that you want for your work. You can be as detailed as you want to, or you can not be as detailed as you want to. Now, for this part, I'm going to put the white on the eyes, so I need to wipe off all the paint from my brush. Make sure that your brush is almost completely clean. You don't have to wash it off. You don't have to wash it off with soap and water. Just wipe off the excess. That should be good enough. But that is what I do like about the water-soluble oil paint that I'm using, is that you can just wash it off in water. If you want to get all the paint and everything, you know, wash it off with water, but just make sure that when you use your brush again, that it is completely dry. So here. Okay, just like that. We'll give you the little reflection in the eye that makes it look pretty real, I would say. Just like that. Okay, and there you have it. That's pretty much all there is to doing the eyes the method that I do them. Try to keep them kind of simple. I think this method's pretty simple. You can go in and, like I said, if you want to make it really a overly detailed, highly detailed, you can definitely do that. And I recommend that you not be afraid of using oil paint. Like I said, it's really cool. You can do a lot of things with it. Especially, you know, I know that a lot of you are beginners, or you might be a beginner. You might, this might be, you don't do faces that often, or maybe you just don't feel confident in working with oil paint. You're used to working with a different medium. But I like oil paint. It's really cool. I actually think it's easier than watercolor paint, because watercolor, you have to work in layers. You have to build up the color, and the paint usually does what it wants to do. But with oil paint, you can really manipulate it, and you can pretty much, you can get some really cool effects. You can make it do, you can control it. You can manipulate it and make it do what pretty much the way, make the paint behave the way that you want to do. The way that you want it to behave, I should say. Just putting a little bit more highlights here. Yeah, a little bit down here. I love this this medium, the way that you can go in and do stuff like this. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.